Hey, Bob here from Big Daddy's Barbecue Pit. So we intended to do a comparison video this weekend on a brisket that's wrapped in butcher paper and a brisket that's wrapped in foil. Things got a little crazy last night. We couldn't actually get the rec tech started for whatever reason. It was very frustrating. 9 o'clock turned into 10 o'clock, turned into 11 o'clock, and we just went to bed. This morning I got up, came out, hit start, and for whatever reason this thing started up. I don't know if we had a jam in the auger or what was going on, but it was running. So we switched to cooking hot and fast, which is the first time I've done this on a brisket. I know a lot of folks do it in competition. So right now we're running a little over 300 degrees on these two briskets. When we started out with them, they were both about 14 pounds. We're getting ready to wrap right now. The first one we're going to do, we're going to wrap in aluminum foil. But you can see, if you take a look at these, the bark on them is beautiful. The one on your left actually shrunk up a little bit more. But we're going to pull that one off. You can see here on my dot that it's right at 165. And our bark is set up nice on that. We're going to pull it off. We're going to wrap that one. By the time we get done wrapping that first one, we'll be ready to wrap the one on the right here in butcher paper. So we're just going to pull that probe out. And I got a cookie sheet here. You can see, man, that thing is nice. We're going to take this over and we'll wrap it up. So if you're wondering what we used the mustard slather on these as a binder, and then we used Killer Hogs TX. We used Swine Life Prime, their beef rub, and then we topped it with a little bit of Heath Riles hot. So we're just going to go ahead and wrap this first guy in the aluminum foil. Two things I haven't tried, hot and fast, and this will be the first time we've wrapped one in aluminum foil. So figure we'll give it a shot, see how it turns out, see if there's a difference between the two. So we're just going to fold this guy over just like we were wrapping it in butcher paper. And I'm just going to fold this under here, tuck it up underneath it. So this one here is ready to go back on the pit, and we'll go ahead and stick the probe back in it. We're going to shoot for around probably 200 to 208. It's really going to depend on how probe tender it is, but we'll show you what that looks like once we get to that point. We'll get it up to about 200. We'll start checking it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to put our dot probe right back in there, right into that flat where we were before. And I'm going to go ahead and bump this temp up to, I'll tell you what, we're going to run it up to 195. And we'll start checking there, not 200. But you'll see, by the time we got back over here, our dot's going off at 165 to wrap this second one in butcher paper. So we're going to get this off, get our butcher paper ready. We'll show you how we're going to do that. Okay, so we got our butcher paper laid out here. We're going to go ahead and set this guy up on here. And again, we use the same rubs on this one as we did the other. We're going to give this one a good wrap in the butcher paper. Just like so. So we got a nice little package there. We're going to take this over, put her back on the pit, put the probe back in it. Again, we're going to start checking these about 195, and we'll see where we end up. I'm guessing it's probably going to be between 203 and 205. Probe, we're just going to stick right back in here in this flat. Let these guys rock and roll. We'll show you what they look like when we get them all done. Okay, everybody, so these have been off and resting for about an hour and a half. We really like to rest them longer than that. Had them in the Cambro. This is the one, as you can see, was wrapped in foil. We're going to go ahead and unwrap the one that was in the butcher paper now and try to save some of this juice if we can. May end up spilling it, but we're going to pull this guy out. You can see this one here, the bark held up. You turn it, look at it point to point, it really, there isn't a whole lot of difference. This one looks like the bark may have, the butcher paper, the bark stayed intact a little bit more. Okay, so we're just gonna try a piece of the flat off each one. Again, these cooked about 8 hours. Seems to be nice and tender, nice and juicy. We're gonna go ahead. You can see some of that bark coming off. That part of that is because we had it wrapped in foil, I'm sure. But you can see, I mean, it's seems to be pretty tender. I usually like a little bit more bend on it, but I mean, it's pretty good. It's got a decent smoke ring, pulls apart nice. It's got an excellent flavor. Real good. We're gonna go ahead and try this one here that was wrapped in the butcher paper. See this one here? Juice pouring out of that guy. You can see that's got a nice bend. That also has a real nice smoke ring. For cooking it hot and fast, I mean, it smells amazing too. But you can see, actually the one in the foil was a little bit more tender, it seemed like, but let's taste it. Yeah. Definitely deeper flavor with the one that was wrapped in the butcher paper over the one that was wrapped in foil. Both are great. I mean, for the first time using foil on a brisket, it turned out really good. For having to cook it quick, having a little bit of trouble with our pit last night, we were able to put a good brisket out for dinner today. Cheers. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Get you some.